Well, thank you for joining us. It's nice to finally be able to talk to you face to face. I know we've been emailing back and forth a couple times. This is Brooklyn here joining us. We work together as event coordinators for SHEMA.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Brooklyn. And nice to finally meet you as well. We've been emailing for about a year now, so.
Yeah, I think it was actually about a year ago when I first sent you that email. So it's finally great to finally meet in person or be able to talk in person.
This is person in 2020, so yes.
Fortunately, yeah, that's how it has to be. So thank you for joining us. So we have a few questions lined up for you, but feel free to ask us any questions at any time.
Perfect.
How's your week been so far?
It's been good. So I'm out here in Lethbridge, and the weather has been phenomenal.
Kate, relax, you two.
The weather has been phenomenal, so.
Oh, good.
What about you guys?
Kate, Toby, stop.
If I put him in another room, he just gets louder too, so.
Oh.
It's either I move or he'll relax. We got a nap soon. It's like 10 a.m. It's nap time. Sorry.
That's okay.
All right.
I will hold you the whole time.
I love
He's
dogs.
only 9 weeks. He's brand new.
Oh my god!
What's his name?
He's so cute.
Toby. Hi, Toby. Adorable. I love that he's
Oh
joining.
my god, he's like a little teddy bear.
Yeah, so I think me holding him will be the calmest way right now. Sorry.
I am not opposed to that.
Me neither. That's great. Thanks. Okay, so I think we'll get into some of our questions we have for you. So in your current position working as office and marketing coordinator for Curling Canada events, we know that this includes some volunteer organizing, working with host committees, and marketing teams, as well as kind of overall planning the event as well. So do you mind going into detail a little bit about how this position came about and maybe a little bit more about what you do?
Yeah, so I was very fortunate that the 2017 Scotties were in St. Catharines the year after I graduated. So I did have a lot of connections through the curling club because I did curl for Brock. So when I sent in my resume to Curling Canada, I actually didn't hear from them for like a month or so. But little did I know they had a lot of other work that they were doing that they didn't really care about me as much in the sense where they needed bigger projects done. So when I got the call to move back to St. Catharines, I was beyond excited. And the first year was a learning curve because I was just the office coordinator. So basically just taking in emails, helping with a little bit of volunteer stuff, but not really making decisions. The girl above me, she did leave, and then we didn't have enough time to hire above. So I was really put in a place where I had to learn very quickly and basically just don't question things, do it. And if it's a mistake, fix it right away. So a lot of the stuff that I do is this year I did not, but typically I'll move to a city and I'll meet the host committee, which tend to be people that are at the local curling clubs. And from there, we build our volunteer database through just recruiting from people they know, people they might know. And then with them, I work to create the schedules for the volunteers and that. A lot of the time we work with the cities as well. And so we'll do community events to just get people to know that curling is coming to town, because even though people say like, oh, it's one of the biggest events, and the Briar and Scotties definitely are, a lot of people don't realize until it's winter time. And by then, sometimes tickets are not as prominent as you'd like. Mm-hmm. So we do a lot of that. So we work a lot with the community. We work with the city, which is great because like in St. Catharines, we were at the Grape and Wine Festival. We were at a bunch of the Niagara Ice Dog games. We actually had the Canadian champs that year, Chelsea Carey, come out and drop the puck at one of the Ice Dog games. So we were able to incorporate the city that was with the event. We were going to take over their house. So they invited us in first kind of situation. So I do work a lot with that marketing. So I helped create stuff like that. And then I also help with our radio and TV and newspaper, and like help create promotions to offset when we aren't paying for the marketing. It's like the ads in that space. So like we'll create weekend packages for people to win by just entering contests, and like we'll guess the curler that's screaming situations and things like that. Or we had a rock station last year, like finish the rock song, and it was always like a curling word that it was like that they had to answer. So I do a lot of that local marketing. I do work with our marketing who does all the bigger events and just help him plan it, but he makes all the big decisions. So I do all the local stuff. Volunteers, planning. So you build a lot of connections just with the volunteers as well. They do tend to help because we need things like ice for the patch or the Heartstop Lounge, things you don't realize. So I do a lot of the local building and communication with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's great that you actually get to connect like on a local level, like wherever you go and really get immersed into that atmosphere. Like
You
what
meet
you're saying.
so
Yeah.
many people. It's amazing.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy how many people you really do need to be able to put on events like those.
It's all you think it's only being a 9-day event, but there is so many little things because I don't know if you know curling events, right?
I do, yes.
You often?
I curled and I went to some of those events and my dad worked at some of those events too.
Brooklyn, have you ever been to a curling event?
I've never been to one, so I've heard a little bit about it. So I'm really loving this conversation because I'm learning a lot right now. So, but very minimal.
We also have our party zone called the Patch for every event but the Scotties, which is our women's Canadian. So it's like the party zone off the ice. So we have autograph sessions. Athletes go up there for up close and personal so people in the crowd can like ask them. We have bands come at night. We have cool shots, which is like tabletop curling, and you can win $1,000 at the end of the week with that. Like it's a party off the ice and it's totally free to enter. So like it's a great way for us to introduce people to curling without having to like put a huge financial like burden on them. And then if they enjoy it, then typically the arena's right across the street and they can just go and enjoy it there as well.
Oh, absolutely. Like I only just turned 19 this year, but my mom always told me, "Oh, it's so much fun and I can't wait to go with you." And so, yeah, absolutely. And she brings her friends that are new to curling as well, and that's how she gets them engaged and, wanting to learn more about the sport.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent thing that we're starting to market now too, to get the non-curling fan into it. And it's a lot of fan engagement in there as well. So you get both people, the massive fans and the new fans.
Absolutely.
Wow. I love the community environment that's there. And just like, we're serious, we're going to focus on competition, but then also have fun and include all the fans and make sure everyone feels valued, which I really love.
It's incredible.
It sounds incredible. Like, I want to be a part of it now.
Brooklyn, we'll go.
Yes. Okay. Sounds good.
You guys, we're all going to the Patch together.
I'm so down. So this question is kind of just a two-part, a little bit general. So I was just wondering what your favorite part of your job is. It could be multiple, but just something that you really, truly enjoy.
I would say the volunteers, because you meet so many people from so many different ways of life. Like you'll meet people that don't watch curling that are just part of the community and want to be involved. And then you'll meet the diehard curling fan that came from Newfoundland. And it's just, you hear so many different stories and it's so interesting. So we have a lot of different volunteer spots. We have like accreditation and security, scorers, stats, timers, the ice crew, transportation. And there's people that will jump to each different one and try to do all the different jobs. And it's like I said incredible before, but like it's absolutely incredible that people do this. And I always tell myself, if I get to retire, I'm gonna be one of those curling fans that go to all the events and try things out. And they compare jackets, they compare stories. And we have pins at our event, so that's also kind of adds on to this. And the volunteers tend to collect pins, and they'll trade pins from past events to this event, and then like it's just a great little community feeling with the volunteers.
I love that. I love that you get to meet people from all over. It's honestly sometimes indescribable just meeting new people and hearing their stories. And I am a person who loves to jump around and just know everything. So that is someone that I would be one of those people. But it's true. Like,
we had a girl. Sorry, go ahead. We had a girl from China come to the World Women's in North Bay. So she came for 4 weeks to help work on the ice. And her name was Seven, and she was just the happiest girl in the world. And like, she was so happy to learn and wanted to help. And she got to stay with one of our directors, and like, she loved it.
That's so nice.
And yeah, honestly, just from going to some of these events too, I can absolutely understand, like, you can feel the passion with these volunteers, and they're just there to have fun and help out as best they can. And you're right, there's definitely, people from such different walks of life. There are those older people that, they're not working anymore and they just want to go and help the community. I know some of the people that I curled with when I curled competitively, they love to help out too, because they're there watching and helping, their fans, like the players that they look up to. So it's really awesome. Yeah.
And we have it's so cool because at our events we have so things I do help with too is like a school program. Monday to Friday mornings and afternoons we invite schools to come out for free to come and watch, so that way it'll get children involved at the grassroots level. And then we also have our Future Stars program, which is, I might be wrong on this, but I know it's 16 and I want to say 9. And these kids write essays, and then they're an honorary member on teams. So they get to walk out with the teams. They get their name on the Jumbotron, the team. So it'll be like an athlete, a child, and it's their time to shine. And it's just so nice that the sport does include almost every age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Actually, one of the questions I have will kind of go more into that area, but no, that's awesome. But before that, just quickly, what is one thing about your job that keeps you up at night? Or it could be multiple, but.
So, this is interesting because I feel a lot of people will now experience this. I've been working from home for the last 4 seasons, I believe it is. So it's hard to find that work-life balance at home. Because if there's a lot of people, when you're at the office, if you finish something and it's 5:15, okay, I'm going home. Where me, if it's 5:15 and I'm like, oh, I could either wait till tomorrow or I could get it done tonight because I'm in work mode, I'll work until 9 p.m. So that is the thing. And then the next thing that keeps me up at night is event week. The week before, I have nightmares where it's did I remember this? And I know I did it, but it's I have to open my laptop to make sure that email, okay, the reefer truck is coming this day, so we're good. And then it's okay, our delivery for this is coming that day. Okay, we did this. But the week before is stress central. And then as soon as it starts to go, those end.
Yeah.
That's understandable.
I definitely agree with the whole working from home thing now that, everyone is working from home and school is online right now. And it's yeah, I just have my computer here, and if I have time, I'm just gonna get it done. The whole work-life balance thing, that's definitely something that I'm still trying to adjust to and figure all that out.
I can't even imagine you guys with school. That is gonna be such a not challenge, but it's definitely something that you guys are going to have to learn to deal with. And then going back will be interesting as well, because you'll get used to this whole being at home, which hopefully none of us really get that into, to going back though. And it'll be an interesting change again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely going to change for all of us. I thought I was going to be okay. I did spring and summer courses. Obviously, it's not the same as, the full semester. But so I was like, I'm kind of used to it. And now I'm on my computer I was just talking to Madeline about this before, from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And it's just you still don't finish your work. And it's just so much. And then I still I still have things running in my head. I'm oh, did I send that email? Should I work on this? Will I have enough time? All this and that.
And then sometimes you feel guilty for having your hour to yourself.
Yeah.
But you need that. You 100% need it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's hard because it's oh, I'm just sitting watching TV now. I could just put my, sit on the table and do work on my computer. But no, you're absolutely right. You do need that hour to yourself. And it's just so different. And it's taking me a lot longer than I expected to adjust. But I think it's that for most people.
Yeah, you're not alone. Trust me.
Yeah.
Not even just doing the work online and stuff, but the lectures, it's such a different vibe, and everything's on a different platform. It's just very different.
Yeah, it's because I did one online course at school and I thought it was interesting, so I can't imagine doing a whole semester.
Yeah, and now officially a full year of online courses.
It's officially a full year?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. What year
it's okay. I'm in 3rd year.
Okay, so at least you guys still have, and you're in 2nd year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys still have time. It'll be done by then. You guys can still live it up and have a whole university experience.
Yeah, we're definitely making our way through for sure. Um,
Can you sit?
okay, so just to go more specifically into marketing, I know you said it's not your main role, but you do help out with it. So one thing I've learned throughout university is to understand who your targets are. And with our organization, Sport Helps Everyone Make Allies, or SHEMA, we stand very strongly with diversity and inclusion. So how do you ensure that you are incorporating inclusivity and diversity when targeting and marketing for an upcoming event so as to ensure that everyone feels valued and welcomed?
So our major demographic does tend to be older people. So it is a struggle, but it's something we're definitely working on because we've had LGBTQ days at, like, I think it was the trials in a Scotties. We had a whole day where everyone dressed up because we do have openly gay athletes, and it's something we support. And we even now are working with to build culture within, because it does tend to be a whiter sport, unfortunately, that we are starting to build culture and making it more accessible to those that would never have the chance before. So this is more of we do it more at the grassroots level with curling clubs, and then the hopes that we can get them to come to our events. So actually last year, in 2019, I had the Worlds here in Lethbridge, and I worked with, I'm not going to say the name right, but it's like a community here because we do have immigrants that move to Lethbridge, and we gave them free tickets to come to an afternoon game and bring their kids because they have never seen curling before. And it was just an opportunity to let them come in, feel the atmosphere, and enjoy it. And then I would say our grassroots stuff does help with the marketing as well, because we don't say no to any kids. If kids want to come and watch, it's anyone's allowed kind of thing, and we make sure that the school program goes to every single person. But there's a lot of work that I still believe we do need to do, and it's been, I don't want to say the pandemic's been great, but a lot of our national calls have been focused on moving forward and being more inclusive and letting people know that we are, because even if we say we are and we know we are, we need to let the world know it as well, because doing and saying are two different things. So we're definitely on the path to get there. It's been interesting because we haven't had any sports, especially during this pandemic. We haven't had any events. And so we haven't been able to be like the major leagues and be able to promote it as much. But we're definitely moving towards there. And it's been great steps, even since the 4 years I've been involved. So our marketing might not right now be directed towards it, but community events we do, and that include a lot of people. We go to the cultural events and we get involved in like all the different groups at the cities within the community. So I think the next step would be going to national marketing and moving it forward with that.
Well, that's definitely amazing. A lot of people might say, yeah, our demographic is only directed at this area, so what can we do about it? And they don't do anything. So the fact that you're still understanding of what's happening, but still making those changes, still trying to include culture, and you are doing something already with community, and you already have next steps already for the national level. So I commend you for that. That's absolutely amazing to hear.
Thank
and
you.
I support you.
Well, thank you. It's hard because we are a very old white cultured sport. And it is a sport where people think it's curling clubs are like country clubs where you're not allowed to come. So the fact that we are starting with the grassroots, I do think is extremely important, because that way it'll get people involved, even to just be healthier, to get playing a sport that in the wintertime, they may not have been playing a sport. And actually we have a great curling day in Canada. So we do it every year. I forget what day it is. But we had a TSN come in, and they did a girl who moved from India who now lives in Alberta, and she has won like 3 national championships. And she mentioned how like she never thought when she moved to Canada this would be the sport, but this is a sport that she loves, and how she's so thankful that this is what she started playing when she moved here. So it's nice to see that. And I think we need to share more of those stories.
I think so, because I've never heard of that. And like I feel like, as I do feel like I am part of the curling community, like that's something that I would love to hear. And as you were saying before, like it's hard to deny that, it's still today the sport is predominantly older, whiter demographics. And I actually did a paper on diversity in curling last year for SPMA 1P91. So I was doing some research and looking into that kind of stuff, and that you guys are definitely headed in the right direction. Obviously, it's going to take some time. Like, most sport organizations right now are absolutely doing that, but that's great to hear about, what you guys are doing. And especially, I love that you really do try and get into the communities, which with each different place you go to for the different events, because that's where it is. People coming from immigrants coming from different countries may not even know about curling, may not know about the sports and the opportunities that are there, and just as recreation and getting that exercise and a fun winter sport.
It's, and not to like, because I know you guys are going to ask the question about women in sport, but Curling Canada is such a good organization to work for the forward thinking, because as you said, people think it's so old and white and not like as forward thinking, but they are, and it's just so amazing to see how empowering they are. And like, I love working here, and it's so nice to be able to say that about a job. So.
I just wanted to mention quickly, it's true, like change doesn't happen overnight. It's gonna take some time, and you guys are making your way there, which I love. And I love that you love your job so much. Like I love to see it. And even, I know we're talking about other people in different communities, but even myself, I don't even know much about curling, and I'm right here in the middle of it. So
We're you involved, okay?
so I'd love to get involved. I'd love to see all this marketing that you guys are doing and hearing about all these incredible stories. So definitely keep it up.
I'll send you guys the link to the video as well. Like, it's just something nice to see. And like the year after, we had John Epping, who's an openly gay curler, talk about his experience and how accepting everyone was. And it's just, you don't see that in every sport. So to see that everyone is working towards this change to make the world together, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just quickly touching on, you kind of just brought up about like, women in sport kind of thing. Curling, I feel like, is one of very few sports where the representation for men and women are the same. Like for events, when you watch on TV, there will be a men's draw and there will be a women's draw. And like it's never been something that like, oh, as a woman, I don't see any female curlers on TV. Like I absolutely do.
That's so, I like that, because yeah, we do all of our events, both women's national, men's national, women's worlds, men's worlds, are all on television. We don't say, oh no, well, we're not going to play this because it's a woman's. We play every single one, and it's fair. And I'm just trying to find, because actually in one of those videos too of the Curling Day in Canada, our payouts for now the Scotties and Briars which is our nationals, the payout is the same for both genders. So the men are not making more than the women. And it's an amazing step forward for women, because if you look at soccer, hockey, and all those sports, the payouts are completely different. Yeah. So we're starting to move forward on that as well.
Yes. To hear, yeah. So I know we were talking a little bit about what you do now, but kind of just going back as a Brock alumni, I know that in our email exchanges from before, you mentioned that you were a Queen Elizabeth Scholar who got the opportunity to travel to Eswatini. I don't know if I pronounced that right or not. Okay, thank you.
Don't worry, trust me, it's hard.
So you got the chance to travel there working with their, I believe, Olympic and Commonwealth Association. So could you go a little bit into detail about your experiences throughout your time in Africa and maybe how that helped you to where you are today? And also as, us Brock students and other SPMA students watching this interview later, to maybe inspire them to do something like that.
I honestly tell every single Brock student I come across in sport management to do this, because being a Queen Elizabeth Scholar has been the most influential part of my life as of right now. Like, again, I love my job, don't get me wrong, but that was a time where I was able to go out of my comfort zone while still learning to also help other people. So when I was there, it was called Swaziland, and the name changed, I believe, 2 years after. And so when I was there, I worked on their Leaders in Training program, which taught people in all these rural communities life skills through sport, with a high emphasis on HIV and AIDS, because it's the highest in the world there. So you were able to meet these people that come from all these different areas, and just train them. And so we probably did 4 different events with them, which were 4 different weekends. And I met so many people, and it was so amazing. And you were able to push yourself to limits that you'd never thought before. And you learn from them as much as they learn from you. So you're able to be adaptable because their life is so different. And then, sorry, I'm going on a rant, but it's just,
I love hearing about this.
and you get to also see how their work culture is compared to ours, where ours is like a 9 to 5, where theirs, it'll be like at 8 o'clock till 7 p.m. and it's not even an issue. They just order in food and we all just sit there and work until the job's done. No one complains. It was a community there. And then they built that within, because their Olympics is not the same as ours. So their little Olympic training area was more volunteer based and helping students in that. So then we did that, and you just meet all these kids that it gives them 2 hours out of their day to just play sports, be with their friends, not worry, was absolutely amazing. And when I went to Brock, I told myself I'm going to make it into the major leagues. Like, I'm going to work for an NBA team or an NFL team. And then when I went there, it really opened my eyes to show that grassroots sports is so important. It's what gets people sometimes going in their day. And to just be able to experience that, coming from a person who I grew up extremely lucky, always involved in sports, it was never like, you might not be able to play this. It was always that. It's just incredible. I wish I could go back. Like, I can't wait to go back and visit.
That's so nice. Honestly, I usually have so much to say, but just being in awe of your experience, like, I'm probably going to email you if you don't mind off the record and talk about this, because this is something I'm so interested in doing, especially, so I'm Tanzanian, but I don't know very much about my African heritage. So like, I've always wanted to go and just learn like that, but then also be able to do that as well would be so beneficial and just rewarding. So I will definitely talk to you about that.
Yeah, I can't even imagine, because I got immersed in the culture, and it's not even my culture, because you could probably talk to some of your family members about it too, because I don't know, were your parents or grandparents from there?
Yeah, so my dad was born in Tanzania. I don't know very much besides he was born there and he used to speak Swahili, and that's pretty much it. So
such a connection with him as well, and you'll be able to just be way more immersed, and it'll just be so enjoyable. So yes, email me. Yeah. We will have chats. You're excited about. We can all.
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing to hear, though, and I love how you brought up that not only were they learning things from you, but you were learning so much from them as well.
They honestly, it made me realize how fortunate we are. We take so much for granted, and we complain about the slightest things. And when you go there, they make the best out of nothing. And it's like, at first it kind of like baffles your mind, like, how are they doing this? Like, why? And then at the end of it, it just makes you really appreciate it and realize, like, maybe sometimes we do need to take a break and step out of our comfort zone, because these people are constantly living outside of their comfort zone, and they're making the most out of it. Where sometimes, like, I remember a day my car didn't, like, my power steering brake broke and I couldn't use my car, and I like had a meltdown. But like, these people, they may have never even been on a vehicle, and they're still living. Like, I'm being such a prima donna over nothing. It's just, I would suggest to go to with anyone. And my parents actually came to visit, and I'm very thankful for that, because they had never been outside of like North America, South America. It was their first different continent based. Well, I guess South America is a different continent, but across the world continent. And they were able to just get into it as well, and to see that, oh, sorry guys, to see that it has, like, it changed them as well, to make them realize how fortunate we are, is just, I'm beyond thankful. I'm applying to do a postgraduate degree right now, and you had to write about like your most proud accomplishment, and I wrote about going to Swaziland, because it changed me for the better, and I'm so thankful that Brock offered it. And Rachel Corbett was a professor then, or a lecturer, and she helped push me towards it, and all the professors that gave me my reference letters. I'm just so thankful for it. And Brock, like, if it wasn't for Brock, I'd never have that opportunity.
That's amazing. The way I like to look at it is like viewing the world through a different lens is kind of like how I look at it.
It's right. It's that lens too, and you don't realize till you're there.
Yes, that's super exciting. I mean, I could talk so much more about it, but I don't want to take too much of your time, so I'll move to the next question. So of course, being an alumni from Brock University, I'm sure you remember professors explaining that volunteering is so important and really get your name out there. And we saw you volunteered for a lot of different sport organizations such as Brock Hockey Games, OBA. So could you just tell us a little bit about your time volunteering and how you found it beneficial, especially, you know, to give a little bit of advice for the SPMA students who maybe are looking to volunteer or haven't volunteered just yet?
Yeah, so I personally believe school is super important. So the whole education side is important, but going out, networking, and volunteering is even more important because that's how you build your life skills. So I love this question because the first year I kind of ignored it, like, oh, all the teachers are saying this, why should I even listen? Like being like my nose in the air, as if the teachers don't know what's good for us. So then I made sure I got into it. So I did the OBAs, I did the Faculty Applied Health Science Challenge where we worked together as a group. I volunteered at the curling club. I was a press operations supervisor at the 2015 Toronto Pan Am Games. In my 4th year, I did the Mountain West Basketball Championships in Vegas. I worked for the Niagara Ice Dogs while I was there. I first interned with them, or not interned, volunteered turned into a paid job. And then I did a lot. I didn't sleep for a couple of years, which I found fantastic. So when you're at that age, you don't need sleep. But I think it's so important because not only did I meet all of those people that were my boss or my supervisor, I met other workers. Sorry, the dog made a loud sound. I met other workers that now I consider friends and people that are in our industry that can help me. If I need an idea, one of my best friends that I worked with that I met at Brock through work, if I have an idea, I'll just pop it to her because she's also in marketing and she'll say, what about this? And it's just great to bounce off ideas from a third party that isn't involved in your marketing, who doesn't fully know, but is an outsider that you're able to work with. It's just so important to go out there, talk to people, meet your fellow classmates, meet those people that could give you those connections. Because I believe I did get my job because of the people I met at the curling club from volunteering there. And so I'm now fortunate that I've been employed since 2016. I've been employed then and been able to work in the field because I watched your last interview and you guys are talking about how you both have been involved in sport your whole life. And it wasn't even a decision for you guys to not work there. But you can count on your hand how many women are in our classrooms. Yeah. And that it's not guaranteed that we're all going to get jobs out of school in our field. But if you work to get to meet all these people, to build these connections, I believe it's the reason why we'll all be successful. And you guys building this program in community and connecting with so many people is an excellent step towards it. I wish this was at Brock when I was there. I would have been a leader with you guys. Girls, but
we would have loved it.
That's so good here. And yeah, thank you for, emphasizing how important building those relationships, building that connection of networks is, because really, yeah, I mean, as you said, that those connections through volunteering through the curling club is kind of what helped you get that job where you are here right now.
100%. So in doing it, I would have never thought. I remember I took a risk management course. I was in 4th year, and then you had to do a project and analyze the risk of stuff. And it was of an event that you want to work with. And I did the 2017 Scotties, never thinking that I was ever going to get a job with Curling Canada.
Wow.
And now they're stuck with me for now.
You manifested it without even knowing.
Exactly. So you guys are doing the exact same thing. So I applaud you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, networking is so key. Because when in my first year, I forget, it was just business communication. It was SPMA 1P94. And he would say, get out there, volunteer. I had other professors say the same thing. And you just don't know what will come of it, whether long-time friendships, a new job, maybe you meet someone who knows someone who will introduce you to them. Like, you just honestly never know. And you also just get an incredible experience.
Yeah.
That you would never think about. Yeah.
It's silly though, because I remember, I think all of us in first year are like, why are they telling us this? I'm here to be at school. I'm here to have fun. Like, why am I going to do more work? And then you realize, like, oh, I actually need to do this more work. And it's not even that sometimes it's not even work. It just turns into fun. And like, as you said, friendships, opportunities, memories, and things you'd never think of. It's so funny when I think, like, I'm only 26 and all the things that I did even before I graduated school. If we don't get out there, we're not going to get those opportunities.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I can't even lie, as a first year, I did my schoolwork and that was kind of it. And I feel like it's a lot for, like, that's how a lot of first years go. It's hard. It's it's so different than high school, your first year of university. But honestly, from when I started with SHEMA a couple months ago to now, the amount of connections I've made and opportunities that have come from this, and this is just from one organization that I'm working with, like it has really opened my eyes to how key and how important networking and just taking those opportunities are.
It's almost laughable that before we're like, why are we doing this? And now we all can realize the benefits.
Absolutely. So kind of, you brought this up before of how you wish something like this was available when you were a student. So I kind of just want to touch a little bit upon your experience with the sport management program. How did you enjoy it? Is there anything that you would have liked to see more or less of? Overall, how was your experience? And maybe touching as, being a woman in the program.
I adored school. So the ironic thing is I was going to go to school to forensic science at Laurentian, and I saw this program at Brock, and I started to research about it, and to me it just seemed more of a passion than work. And then when I got there, the first year, like we mentioned, is a bit different, and it is more work because you're adjusting to so many different things. But then second year, when you can start to pick your courses and which ones you like qual versus quant, or you can take both if that's something you prefer, and like just being able to take the courses that you want to move towards, I think is one of the best parts of it. Because yeah, obviously we have our prereqs, but then like you can continue on in finance, or you can continue on in your research. And there was one course that I didn't even know of until I came back, and it was basically a grassroots rights to play course. So when I got back from Swaziland, I made sure I enrolled in that because I realized that was my passion. And the opportunity to be able to do one of those classes is kind of crazy yet amazing. It was such a fun class. We did a bunch of courses and that kind of stuff. I do wish there were more females in the program, because it's almost sad to see how little there are, but it's so nice to see how strong the ones that are there are. Because I have, like, some of my best friends from school are all females. My best friend from my hometown actually took sport management with me, and she now lives in Fort McMurray, and she runs her own basketball organization, and she's making waves and doing insane things. And then I'm just trying to think of all my friends, but like there's people that have made it that are women, and it's so empowering to us. Like one of my friends, Katie, she works for the Blue Jays. And to see that, I do wish there were more, but I do believe Brock gives the opportunity for women. I don't think they're stopping us. I think they're helping us, actually. So it's so nice to see. Even speakers at alumni days, a lot of them tend to be women, and it's so nice, because even when I told people I was going in that, and they're like, why are you taking sport management? Are you gonna get a job? And I want to tell people, like, sport changes the world. Like, there will continually be jobs in all different steps from grassroots to pro. And even though I don't want to work in pro, I don't blame anyone for doing it, because I still watch it. So I need people to do it if I want to watch. So I loved it. I'm one of the biggest advocates for Brock. And it's sad. I couldn't find any Brock clothing except for a curling shirt. I was like, that's a strange shirt to wear. It's really tight and spandexy. It's really so, but I love going there and even going back. So I went back, I think it was last year, to just visit, and it's changed so much, and it's amazing to see that it's growing. And even our program, I believe there was 120 students in my first year, and I think I read that the number's gone up for sport management as well since then. And I just want it to grow and continue to grow and show people that there are jobs for us in sport, us females in sport, in every level. And I do believe Brock helps push that for us.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's great. Thank you for sharing those experiences. And yes, Brock is definitely helping. The amount of professors that we have been speaking to as, you know, as part of our organization, and they love what we're trying to get at. Again, as Brooklyn mentioned before, you know, change won't happen overnight. The program is absolutely growing, which is amazing to see. And I'm sure there are a lot more females in the program now, like in Brooklyn and I's years, than when you were in school.
Let's go!
Of course, you know, I feel like the work is never finished. There's always more that can be done. And so that's why SHEMA works to stand at the forefront of the SPMA program as just a place for all students, just to feel welcome and included by building a strong and inclusive community within the program. So this is just our first year, but we're super excited for what's to come.
I know I've told you guys this before, but like, it's absolutely amazing that you guys have come up with this idea and implemented it and started it. Because, and again, an idea and words are one thing, but actions are a completely different thing. So it's out, like, thank you for inviting me on this interview, and thank you for doing this for everyone.
Well, I appreciate that comment. Thank you for coming on and explaining all your experiences. I'm sure you've inspired, when everyone watches this interview, I'm sure you'll inspire quite a few women to, you know, keep going, keep pushing. Just like Madeline said, like we do have probably more women now than maybe a few years ago. It's slowly going up, maybe not as the rate as quickly as we want, but it's still happening, and we're hoping to make changes for sure. So we are looking forward to it. And the sport management program, we are looking to enhance it. We're really trying to, you know, become more inclusive and diverse, even in regards to representation of the sport management program, marketing, and all of that. So we are making our way. We're trying. I do really like the sport management program because, like you said, it's funny. People are like, oh, what is that? like, you know, like no one really knows.
You do gym all day? Like, no, I don't do gym all day. Okay.
Right? Yeah. Like the first question is, oh, are you going to be a gym teacher or maybe a coach? I don't really know. And I was like, those are options. Sport is very wide. Yeah. So there's
people don't realize that sport is at every single level. Like, they put their kids in Timbits, but they don't think people work in like in these programs to make it happen.
Yeah. And I just love that the sport management program, there's just a variety of positions that you can work for. There's so many different avenues to go upon, and I love that. So it's like, oh, if I'm, you know, I'll try this out, get a bunch of experience or opportunities, and maybe if it's not for me, that's okay. There's other ways to go about sport. And sport is honestly, like you mentioned, is more than a game to me. Like, I just truly think it brings everyone together, especially how we see the social injustices coming together, and, you know, the professional leagues coming together and using their platform as a way to bring attention to that and try to make changes as well. So I do think sport is a tremendous part of our lives, and love that the sport management program is here for us.
Absolutely. Like, just touching on what Brooklyn was saying, like, I do believe like sport can make change in the world. Absolutely. Like,
it does.
A huge thing. It brings people together, and I just think that's so great, and I want to be a part of that.
Well, like, if you think about it, in what other world would the three of us be connecting, talking about all these issues and how sport's changing it and people that we know that are changing it, if it weren't for a program like this? And as Brooklyn mentioned, like, how there's all the different avenues, and I didn't even think of that. I blanked out when you asked the question, but there are so many different avenues to try out while you're at school. And do the internship. I suggest being a Queen Elizabeth Scholar, but because that's when you actually put what you learn to work. Because one thing about this program, it's really nice, our like exams and essays are more thought out than memorizing. And that's how the world works, is we are we're faced with issues, and the issues are different in every different situation. And there's no textbook for us. It's not like a doctor where it's like, okay, this is what we have to do. It's, well, we'll try this, and if it doesn't work, we have plan B. So yeah. I believe that this program is amazing, and sport is amazing, and you guys are amazing for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And also just you touching how, you know, it is the program that has allowed us to do this. And absolutely, I don't know if I mentioned to Brooklyn, but the only way that I reached out and connected with Amanda is that in my 1P91 lecture, one day, Professor Hyatt, you know, on all the stories he loves to tell, he was just saying how, for whatever reason, we were talking about curling, and he said, oh, actually, one of my old students, SPMA alumni, Amanda, she works for Curling Canada, blah, blah, blah. And I made sure to write that down. And I sent him an email afterwards saying, I would love for you to connect me with Amanda because, you know, that is something I'm interested in. And curling, yes, please. A woman in sport, working in the curling industry, yes, please. So that was absolutely, you know, the opportunities that we get from this program and the faculty in the program, and just throughout the our peers and our other students as well.
I actually have to mention something. So we have 2 SPMA alumni that work at Curling Canada. My coworker Melissa Hicks, I don't know her exact title right now because I think it changed, but she does sponsorship for all the events. So it's another example. Like, I do the local side, the community side, and she does the sponsorship for all of our events. So that's like, there's so many avenues. There's so
That's so amazing, and I think that reflects well.
Yes.
I think that reflects well on volunteering, because you can volunteer everywhere, and then that also helps guide you on what you're like, okay, I like this, I didn't like this, I would love to do this, that kind of thing as well. Which I believe her name is Katie. She does very well at sending all the sport management students opportunities for volunteering, so that's really helpful too, because, you know, sometimes people don't know where to look or don't know what they're interested in, so she's always sending emails, which is really helpful, I found, over the past few years.
And even something to look at, I know you guys haven't graduated yet, but just go on the CIRC website, SIRC.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and just look at the jobs, because it shows you that, like, oh shoot, that is a position. Okay, I'll look into it, kind of thing. So yeah, like you said, and then you can do the volunteer or even just create connections, and you can send like Madeline did, where she just sent an email out trying to connect. You can do that with the companies, and most people will take it. Like,
it's so true.
You guys are
You'll never know.
Comfort zone, yeah, and it's creating waves.
Exactly. You never know unless you try. It'll always be an if you don't put it out there. So
yeah, to know even if you don't do it. So
yeah, exactly.
Exactly that.
Okay, so just to touch a little bit more upon being a woman in sport. So SHEMA really strives to help people recognize the unconscious bias and the exclusionary environment in sport, specifically with women and diverse social groups. So a question that we do ask is, have you ever felt excluded or had any feelings of inadequacy because of reasons such as gender, race, ethnicity, anything really, whether that be a personal affair or maybe workplace, school, anything in that matter?
So in Swaziland, it's not the same, because I know it's a completely different culture, but it was so, I think, eye-opening to me to be one of the only white people there and be a person that had authority at these like events we did, to see that I'm teaching these teachers that are older than me, and like having them respect me, and then hearing some of the comments after. Obviously, I didn't take it to heart as much, because it is a different culture, and they make those comments about a lot of different things, much like we do in Canada. I'm not saying we're any better, but I think that was eye-opening for me to realize that it does happen. Because again, I think I grew up pretty fortunate. I'm from Sault Ste. Marie. It's not very diverse there. So when I went to school, it did get a little bit more diverse, and then you realize. But I am very lucky to work with Curling Canada, because nothing has really ever happened. Well, nothing has happened with any of my coworkers or anybody that I've worked with. But I've definitely heard some older volunteers make comments about me being a young woman, and how sometimes it doesn't come off as someone of authority. It can come off as being a bitch. which isn't like something I really enjoy hearing. And I will admit it doesn't come up often, but I've definitely heard that in comments. And I never fault someone for that, but it makes you think, like, if I was a man that was 20 years older, would they be saying these comments to me? Because someone that is that age could be in a position that I'm in. And you always want to say, oh, well, they grew up in a different generation than us, but we want to think the world is continually evolving. So I've never said anything. It hasn't happened in the last couple of years because I've been more who I am. And you notice that people are more there to help you now. But I still remember my first year, definitely I had a couple volunteers make a comment. And it was older men, and you just kind of, it's your first year, so you're scared. You don't know what to say. So you just kind of hold it in. And then after you realize, like, I should have stood up for myself. But then you're also like, but why should I have to stand up when they shouldn't be doing that? Mm-hmm. So it's interesting because, like, again, I know so many people have had way worse experiences than I. But just because I had that, I don't think people deserve to have worse because it didn't make me feel good. So there's still some things out there like that, but I believe we are moving forward. I like to hope we are, especially with what happened.
We definitely are. And SHEMA really tries to help people understand that their voices are heard and they matter, and that everybody, like, we want to try and build an empowered community so that they feel that they can speak up for themselves or for other people in that way. So change is slowly coming. We are trying. And an example I do have, I think I was 17 or 18, and I got an assistant general manager job. She was so lovely in the beginning, the GM, she was so great. There was another man too. He was older, probably like 20 years older than me. And so everything was good. And then at one day she found out that I was 17 or 18 because she originally asked if I was married and had kids. I was like, oh no, like I'm 17, definitely not there yet. And she looks and she's like, oh. And I was like, okay. So then that was it. But from that day on, so awful to me, so terrible, just so demeaning. I didn't understand why, because I know I wasn't doing anything wrong. And afterwards, when I spoke with her, I wrote everything down on a paper and I explained how I was feeling and was explaining how this wasn't right. And she went on a rampage, would interrupt me, would not let me speak, and then was saying that she had higher hopes for me than the man, which is unprofessional right there. You should not be talking like that. But because of my age and being a woman, it was just all condensed into one. And I was like, I can't work here. If this is the environment, I can't. And it happens all the time, workplace, personal, school, all the time. So it's unfortunate.
Where I work, because they're so open-minded, they're so fast, like forward thinking, and like my age, my gender doesn't matter to them. But then you hear stories like that, and it's just it saddens you, because like it shouldn't matter. They should all be accepting. Doesn't matter if you can get the job done, you can get the job done. It doesn't matter what you look like, where you're from, what your age, your gender. It's just, you can do the work, you can do the work.
Exactly.
And that's how my mentor that like hired me at Curling Canada, that's what he thought. And it was just so nice to see, like, he honestly at the beginning didn't care what your name is, in a sense, not in a bad way, but it's like, if you can do work, you're the right person. It doesn't matter anything else. So I'm sorry you experienced that, but I'm glad you did get away from it, because that's tough. And you can't.
Oh yeah, I could not do it. It was, yeah, no, it was awful. And I actually spoke to the owner about, well, my mom pushed me to talk to the owner about it. And he said, yeah, we've had about like 6 complaints before you. And I was like, okay, then why aren't changes being made? So you understand what's happening, and then no action is being taken. So I was just like, okay, well, thank you for the conversation. I hope it works out.
Like, actions speak louder than words. Just because they said, oh, we'll talk to her, well, clearly you haven't. So
yeah.
I'm glad to hear you did speak up, though, Brooklyn.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you. It was very hard.
I couldn't imagine. Yeah,
because even as a volunteer who, like, obviously I'll probably never see them again, I was just like, oh, okay, like they didn't directly say it to me, but you can hear when you're in meetings. And it's just like, I would have never said anything. So good for you.
And it's hard that at this day and age, you still have to, deal with these comments and, it's great that you were speaking up for yourself, Brooklyn, but it shouldn't even have to come to that point where you would have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know, that's
Exactly.
the thing. We have to have these conversations, but the irony is we shouldn't, because like things should just be just.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad to see that in this world it's not quite there yet. But I do believe, like, I'm lucky again. I always say this where I work because we are, but to see that a lot of sports are moving fast forward and all these different things. And I think it was the Cleveland Browns game. I just read a tiny article and it had a woman official in both teams that were playing had women coaches.
Yes.
It's like,
yes.
It was news and it makes you happy, but like this needs to be more normalized. Like,
exactly.
Women can do this. Just because it used to be men doesn't mean it's that way.
Absolutely.
Or age, because age is also, someone that is 60 might not have the same experience as someone that's our age. Just because they're older doesn't mean they can do it. I don't mean to laugh when I say that, but it's true.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. So I'm sure we could ask so many more questions. This was so great to have this conversation with you and all the knowledge and experiences you've been sharing. But I think we're going to end it here. Before we do finish, is there any questions you have for us?
No, I just want to say thank you guys again, because what you guys are doing is amazing. And make sure you do email me. And Madeline, I want your essay to read because that sounds amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have an essay as well that I'm going to send you about the culture in curling.
Perfect. Please do.
And thank you guys. And I'm sorry I talked your ear off, but you guys are so much fun and what you're doing is so amazing.
Thank you so much. No, we really appreciate you coming on, and I will definitely send you that email for sure today. I will email you about it. I'm super excited. Pardon?
You have my email?
Yeah, so Madeline CC'd me, so I will send you an email for sure. And Madeline, I'd also like to read your essay too.
Yeah, like just send it to both of us, put it in a group chat.
Let me just be clear, this was my very first university paper, so it's not the best thing in the world, but I do think the information was kind of relevant to what we were talking about today.
No, I love it. I love it. My paper was completely different. I remember that exactly. I remember working on that so much. My paper was completely different topic, so I'm really interested in reading about that. So
I did one actually about the different payouts of women in sport, and curling was one of them. But now that we are equal, it's nice.
Yeah, that's good. See, it's slowly happening. Changes are happening.
That's only like 5 years ago, which is too long, but at least it's there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again. We really appreciate this, and this is amazing. I had a great chat.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. It was so nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And we will chat in our emails.
Okay.
Have a good day.